Hi and welcome Beyond the Racing Line, the Formula 1 podcast by fans, for fans. What a special news limited edition episode this one is. All the news. I tell you what, it's been a busy world in Formula 1. Very hard to keep up with all the goings on, and we thought we'd better get together and have a little chat about it. I've got Tristan joining me.
Hello, mate. Hello, everyone.
How are you? Tristan's just explained to me about a very traumatic spider bite.
Yeah.
For those people around the world who think that this business of Australia is out to kill you, it turns out they might be right.
It's totally true.
We always laugh at that. But
yeah, because it doesn't really affect us too much. Did you see that photo? I don't know if you saw. There was a brown snake in Aldi supermarket.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Around our area the other day. It's just casually making its way through the front door.
Yep.
And for those people that don't know what a brown snake is, go and Google it, because it's pretty much... It's borderline just death.
Second most deadly snake in the world.
It's just death in an animal form.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you managed to have a run-in on one of our most poisonous spiders.
Yeah.
Spent a bit of time in hospital.
Yeah, it hurt. But I'm alright now. It was just traumatic.
I'm find the story incredibly cool.
Yeah, because you didn't have to live it.
No, because I didn't have to live it, and so I'm trying my hardest not to show too much of how cool it is.
But I would be the same, though. If you were telling me the same, I'd be full of enthusiasm.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better because, I just think it's an incredibly cool story.
Yeah, of course.
It sounds like they had to dig flesh out of you
they pretty much
before they could let you go.
They pretty much did.
How exciting.
Yeah, exciting's the word.
Good on you. Well done.
Anyway, we're back here. I thought,
that isn't the big news, is it?
No, it's not. I actually thought, after we left the other week, I thought, okay, it's going to be pretty quiet, and we'll be back for a little bit of a livery recap, and we'll go through, and we'll talk about just the cool cars that look cool. Far out.
Formula One's just spewed on itself.
I'm exhausted already, and we haven't even started. It's like week 2 of not even pre-season.
Yeah.
It's like week 2 of the year.
Yeah, not even that.
Not even
really?
that.
It hasn't even started.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about starting. So anyway, look, we'll do a bit of a recap. So here's a recap from where we were last time.
A little bit of crossover.
A little bit of crossover, what's going on. So Haas and Steiner have split. Talked about that the other week. Mercedes and Toto Wolff signed on. McLaren gave us a surprise livery out of nowhere. Mercedes and James Allison have extended their contract together.
And Toto, I think.
And Toto as well, yep. Visa Cash App RB is the new name. Madrid entered the calendar. Norris extended his contract. Leclerc extended his contract. Andretti was denied. Suzuka is staying on until 2029, which also is like the best news out of all of that. Just it's the one that's gone under the radar. And then obviously, like the major news is Lewis and Ferrari. Sainz departing. Huge. Just.
It's one of those big moments in Formula 1.
I was going to say, where do you rank it on like a scale of moments in the sport?
Well, let's go like moments, because it doesn't go up against like the 2021 decider.
No.
But
it's
like
right
moments. It fits in there with when Lewis left McLaren originally for Mercedes.
Yep.
But even then it was like he was a young driver. It wasn't quite the same, I don't think.
Absolutely not.
For me, probably Seb leaving Red Bull.
Yeah.
It equates to.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, yep.
Because I didn't see Seb leaving Red Bull.
No.
Ricciardo put him under pressure for that season.
Yep.
But he just, the 4 seasons previous to that season, he'd won the last World Championships, wasn't he? Red Bull was his team.
Yep.
And so that one really got me. I didn't expect to see that one come through.
Yep. Like moments. I could almost say Rosberg retiring straight after a title.
Yeah.
I think any of us saw that coming.
No one saw that coming, but no one cared.
Yeah.
Did you understand what I mean? Like, it was a shock to us. But Rosberg didn't have any of the he didn't have emotion. Like, people didn't have an emotional attachment to Rosberg.
No, that's fair.
I mean, people who loved Hamilton didn't particularly love Rosberg.
Yeah. Because
they had a few little run-ins, but the rest just didn't rate. Whereas Hamilton, whether you love him or loathe him, which seems to be everybody, you have to be in one of the camps. Yeah. But whether you love him or loathe him, it's still a massive story to all involved. Yeah. Whereas Rosberg was just like, oh, okay. Like, I think my response was what it was.
Yeah.
Back it up.
Yeah.
But that was it. Like, oh, whatever. We're not losing anything from the sport. We're not losing personality. Whereas,
yeah, that's fair.
That's huge. Which is bigger, Ferrari or Lewis in the world at the moment?
Which is bigger?
Across Formula One, I think Ferrari's bigger in history.
Yeah.
But which is bigger in the sport at the moment?
I don't know. I think... Oh, God. They're both sort of on a par.
And to say that about
They really
something
are.
to match Ferrari, like Ferrari, we sometimes don't take in how big Ferrari is because, like Ferrari drivers will, if they are in Italy, they never buy a bowl of pasta again.
No.
They never have to buy a glass of wine again, and they're forever cherished in Italy.
Yeah.
But and so we don't necessarily see that part of it. But Ferrari is huge; it's everything about Formula One, whereas. But Lewis is like transcending Formula One in terms of he goes beyond Formula One. People who don't like Formula One love Lewis.
I tell you, this will be a popular or / unpopular opinion, but if he goes and brings a title home with Ferrari, then for me it would settle the argument that he is officially
I couldn't agree more.
The greatest of all time.
I couldn't agree more.
He really is.
And that stands for, or stood for Seb, couldn't do it.
Fernando couldn't do it.
Stood for Fernando, couldn't do it.
Massa couldn't. Massa nearly couldn't do it.
But
Massa had it for a minute.
Yep. And then it would stand for Max. See, the one I want to see do it is Lewis or Max.
Yeah.
And I want to see Max have a crack at it because I honestly feel like Max is like completely on top of his game.
Yep.
It's a bit hard to judge where Lewis is at the moment because of where Mercedes have been, but I still think he's like, if he's not at the absolute maximum, he's not that far off it.
Yeah.
I think he's still got a lot in him.
Yeah.
I want to see one of them.
I think it would mean more to the sport and fans if Lewis did it over Max.
Yeah,
just for me, just
I think
I would appreciate it.
It would save Max getting 5 more titles.
Yeah.
If he won one with Ferrari.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? And that's not going to happen because he's contracted with Red Bull, and I imagine he's going to be with Red Bull for quite some time, particularly if Lewis is now with Ferrari. So Max is going to get some more championships, I imagine. But if Max has got 3 championships and he went to Ferrari and got another one, I think that would instantly put him into the Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, Fangio category straight away.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
To win a championship with Ferrari is something completely different.
Reported $100 million contract, apparently. I don't know how accurate that is, but that was a report straight up that is what he is just...
Well, there's an old saying that if all the headaches that Ferrari give you start to become too much as a racing driver, you just pick up your contract and remind yourself of how many millions of dollars you're being paid to put up with these headaches, and then you're okay again.
Yeah.
And so that wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Isn't it cool to see like some of the greats that we've grown up with, and many people have, knowing that Seb went to Ferrari,
had a crack.
Fernando's been to Ferrari, and now Lewis has been to Ferrari. I mean, I put all 3 of them in the same category. But for him to then go and say, I'm going to have a go at it now, because he was always sort of, he was the anti-Ferrari man, wasn't he? He did it with everyone but them, but then to go and say, I'm actually going to go and have a crack with...
Well, he's always been reported as like having that romantic notion of
for
driving for
sure.
the red.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That if you're a racing driver, then the dream is to wear the red overalls. It's just once you've done that, it's just a life achievement ticked off.
Yep. So it's, for me, it's a shame we've got a year of putting up with the Mercedes, Lewis. I'm just ready to get into Ferrari and Lewis. I like the idea of a little swan song, but I'm ready for this. I'm ready for Lewis and Ferrari.
Imagine if Lewis, not that he will, because I mean, you'd put your house on Max for this year, but imagine if Lewis won it this year.
Or became competitive again.
And then left.
Or became competitive again. Yeah.
I don't think he'd regret it. I think that obviously the move is, it's flagged in the media that this is the swan song, and that
I'm not sure there's much to regret.
The opportunity, there'd be nothing. Nothing.
Even if another title was on the line.
To have forged your career, to have then won your titles, and then as just a personal dream to do something, to finish it in that aspect would be, the perfect way
if I'm Lewis
to go.
If I'm Lewis Hamilton and I'm offered another title with Mercedes, an 8th title in total, a 7th with Mercedes, or the chance to drive for a few years with Ferrari, I know which one I'm choosing.
Yeah, I'd be choosing Ferrari.
Yeah, just to tick that box. And even if it's not successful, you've ticked that box.
And I feel like there's no pressure on it either.
No.
I don't think... No, I don't reckon there is.
Jeez.
I don't reckon there is. There'd be more pressure on Charles to do it than what there is to Lewis to do it.
If he was up against someone other than Charles, I feel like the pressure comes from the teammate straight away.
Yeah, it's still Charles' team for me. Like, I look at those two as a pairing, and Ferrari is Charles' team. It's his.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lewis is the alien team.
Yeah, I'm with you.
For the first time,
there's pressure on Charles.
I think for the first time, Lewis is not. It's not his team.
Yep.
Yeah. Whereas McLaren was his team, even in 07.
No,
not really.
They were Alonso's team.
That was Alonso's team in that one. Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, I don't feel like it's his team. There's no pressure. I don't reckon there's even any expectation. It's a bit like Oscar this year. We said at the start of last year, what's the pass mark, and it's just do it.
How well is he going to go, Lewis?
You just honestly, just a part of me wants to say really well.
I think it's going to be.
It really does. They talked about this last week. I think it's time. But this is the time.
Ferrari, what's he saying? It's like what he was like, but they're no good, right?
Yeah.
And I think my response to him was, they're not far off.
And
I really feel like they weren't far off last year. Like they weren't at Red Bull standard in consistency. They weren't at Red Bull standard in general, but they weren't that far off quite regularly. It's just that Red Bull just had it all together. And so I think if they can sharpen up a few little bits and pieces, I think we could see a decent attack on it.
If he did it, I'd love to see Kimi present the trophy to him.
I don't think Kim would have any interest in doing that.
I don't think so either, but I think it's all romance. It's just, as a fan, everything just screams romance.
Yeah.
Imagine that. It was the FIA prize giving, and then Kimi gives it to him.
Yeah, so I think we're both in agreement. It's like it's a wonderful move. It's what I've wanted from one of these drivers,
and it's an incredibly historic moment too. We did a little bit of contract stuff last week, and we said it's going to take It's going to take a big name to do something to shake it up. Otherwise, everyone's staying, and then bang.
I don't think either of us guessed this one.
Oh, I don't think so either.
No.
But within half an hour, it blew up, didn't it? Even our fans on our socials were going, I threw it out there because it came out, and then it came out, and it came out. So, okay, we need to look into this.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. The world pretty much found out at the same time. Toto didn't know anything about it until pretty much the day before. And obviously, Lewis knew about it, and Ferrari knew about it in, I think, November. But yeah, it's interesting that they held it together so long. For so long. It's one thing Ferrari not bad at. It's keeping secrets, I guess.
Absolutely.
It brings us to Carlos Sainz.
How do you feel about that?
He's had a decent crack.
Yep.
And it was going to take a decent name to replace him, I think. I think Ferrari were fairly happy enough with him. I think one of the knocks on Carlos was that his driving style was quite different to Charles Leclerc's, and Charles Leclerc being the leader of the team meant that Carlos was always sort of compromised a little bit. And so I think it makes life a little bit easier for them in one way. In another way, they're going to have two kingpins to keep happy as a team. But yeah, so for for Carlos, I think it's a bit of a shame that it didn't work out that well for him. I'm not sure anyone's that surprised that he didn't become a world champion with Ferrari. But he's a hell of a driver who needs a seat now. Where's he go?
Well, it has to be Steak/Audi. Like it's not going to be anything else.
I think there could be other options.
I think there could be other options, but knowing that his dad just won Dakar with Audi, so the family connection strength is so strong there that if Carlos Sainz Sr. has got X amount of Dakar rally wins, the last couple of years with them, then really that connection that he has with that team it pretty much drags Sainz along with him.
It makes a huge amount of sense.
Of course it does.
And I agree, and I think the idea of building with that team, he's the right driver to do that.
Yep.
In a way, he's going to have to maybe put his career on hold for a couple of seasons.
Yep.
While, 2025, sure, I'm expecting better things from them this year, probably some better things from them next year, because they've got some really great people at that team now. They're not going to be fighting for wins or podiums, I wouldn't have thought, in those 2 years. First year of 2026 as a team Audi, the whole idea is that they're going to be ready to go right from the get-go. They're building infrastructure now. They're updating tunnels. They're updating CFD and all the infrastructure around the team that's going to allow them to be a great team from the get-go. But let's be honest, it's unlikely to happen. It's a big task to do. Audi step in and then they're competitive straight away. The whole plan is for that to happen. So technically only his career might be on hold for 1 year. I imagine it might be 2 or 3 after that, but who knows? Who knows?
Fifth team.
Fifth for Carlos.
5th team for Sainz. So for the first 3 years with Toro Rosso, next 2 for Renault, 2 for McLaren, and then 3 for Ferrari, and then now there'll be another one.
The team that's not there, who may have a seat available, is Red Bull.
Nah. No.
It's not bad. It's not a bad fit.
I just the Sainz Audi connection is too strong. And even if it was things like money and all that kind of stuff, I feel like it could even be a package deal to keep Sainz Senior there for more Dakars. So if that's sort of, I think that's sort of the path that I'd take with that one. I tend to agree with you, and I think that'd be better for Carlos. But I think
these guys are so ambitious.
Yeah.
And they don't think that they don't have that doubt in their minds necessarily. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see him go and take on Max in his own team, even if it was for a couple of years, sign a couple of year contract, and then go to Audi. I'm with you. I think it's Audi. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Stake, Sauber, whatever we're calling him at the moment. But I think it is stepping to that team. But the Red Bull connection would not surprise me. And these guys have that sort of that winning edge. And why wouldn't you step into the best? If that seat was opened to you, why wouldn't you step into the best seat in the business?
Yeah, that's fair.
And so
I think even the 5 teams is a bit of a concern too. Because you'd sort of, as a team, you'd start questioning and going, okay, why are you constantly being moved on by team? If we're team 5 and then we're team 6 and you're only lasting 2 or 3 years, you'd start to ask the question, why is it that you aren't staying in for the long haul? Because some teams will want that, especially if you're a lower mid-pack or mid-pack sort of team. You want someone who you know you're going to have for a few years. So a continual change of environment could work against him too. So, and he's probably wanting that too. He's thinking, okay, I actually want to find somewhere where I can dig my teeth in for 5 years.
I'd forgotten that he'd gone to Renault.
Yeah.
Who was he at Renault with?
Hulk for a couple of years, just off the top of my head, I think. Yep.
Okay.
I'll have to look at that. That was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, McLaren and Ferrari are the 2 big teams. Like, you work your way up to the big teams.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's been moved on from those 2, maybe there is a bit of a little question mark there. But yeah, look, for me, either of those 2 options I think would make plenty of sense. Yeah. It wouldn't also it'd be a fine pickup for Aston Martin as well.
I think so too.
Quality driver.
Very quality driver.
Not sure he's ready to. Well, not sure he's the person to lead a team, but I think he would love that challenge. I really think he'd love that challenge.
Lead a team, sorry.
Yeah, well, and I don't know that enough has been made of the fact that Ferrari is probably not built for him.
No, not at all.
And so he's had to compromise a little bit. And we've seen how other drivers like Ricciardo, a race winner, like in the top 3 drivers of the championship for a fair few years in Formula One, wasn't able to alter his driving style a huge amount, and so it can affect drivers quite a lot.
Yep.
The last piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
It's definitely not going to be the last piece of the puzzle, because all of these things mean changes somewhere else and mean drivers become available and seats become available. But the last part of the puzzle for now is that Mercedes seat. And who steps into the Mercedes seat?
Well,
I think you and I are on the same page, but I haven't heard anyone else really on the same page.
Hit me with it.
First came to our mind was Ricciardo.
Yeah, it did for me too.
It makes a lot of sense, but no one else has gone with it. And I completely understand why, and I know we've got the Ricciardo bias. Watsy's installed that in us beautifully.
Yep.
But for me, you got George Russell driving, who is not yet proven. He's great, he's fast, he ain't yet proven to be a race winner.
Yeah.
And so I think adding someone like a Ricciardo for the next couple of years until you've got your gun F2 driver ready to go, whose name is... Well, let me get on to that. I've forgotten his name about 3 times this week.
I want to say Antonelli.
Yeah. Is it Alex Antonelli?
To be honest, didn't even know he existed.
Well,
really didn't.
But ever since this has come up, he's become a very good driver, hasn't he?
Well, what about Mick Schumacher?
Well, Toto Wolff did say people are missing out on a gun driver there.
And his statement was that there is an opportunity for Mercedes to be bold for the first time with their choice. But then what does that mean? Does that mean that we go bold with an untried rookie? Does that mean we go bold with an incredibly experienced person. Especially since they've had Nico and Lewis for such a long time, and then Lewis and Valtteri, where Valtteri was the unknown. George was sort of the unknown coming in too.
Yeah, unknown tried in Williams for quite a few years, both of them. But yeah, for me, Ricciardo fits the bill nicely because he doesn't need to be more than a 2-year driver.
Yeah.
Like, your first contract, I mean, you probably contract him for 1 year, really.
Yeah.
But you contract him in and you expect him to be there for 2 years, but you know a couple of things. He knows how to win races. He knows how to develop cars.
Work in a big team.
And he works in a big team, and he'd be a great teammate for George.
And
gets along really well with his teammates. Yep. Doesn't rock the boat too badly.
Your bottom line and your fan and your sponsor and all that kind of stuff comes with it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for me, it's a really nice fit. I can understand the Alex Albon want, but Alex Albon...
You can put a line through that as officially of about an hour ago.
I'd love to know how many years that contract's for, though.
Yeah,
surely he's not signing on for long.
Didn't say, but Vow's statement about an hour ago, before the headed over, that yes, he is officially signed for 2025 on the dotted line. With Williams, and won't be going anywhere. So Peter Windsor reported a couple of days ago that he was 90% confident that a 3-year deal for Alex had been sent, and you could almost take that to the bank. Well, that is, you can put a line through all that. It's 100% wrong.
I did tell you about that, Blake, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
So Alex Albon was obviously someone who popped up. That door seems to have closed. Obviously, there's a straight swap for Carlos Sainz.
And Alex said, I listened to a really good podcast, a high performance podcast, and Alex even mentioned in there that I've had my time with Red Bull. I don't know that I'd go back as well.
Yeah, and that makes plenty of sense. I wouldn't if I was
I think so too. I think Gasly wouldn't return either.
Yep. But yeah, so Carlos Sainz into the Mercedes seat?
No.
Why?
Just I'm all in on Audi.
No, I'm with you. Yep. Do you think he's got what Mercedes are looking for? Is Mercedes looking for Ferrari's cut driver?
I think Mercedes are looking for...
They answer that question. Are they looking like that's just the look of it? Like,
are they looking for a cut driver?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, does Mercedes want to put themselves in a position where they're taking their competitor's the driver from the competitor that wasn't good enough for them?
Yep.
And so for me, they just can't impossibly employ him for that reason, because it would be a bit of a blight on their name. And I love Carlos Sainz. I think he's a great driver.
Yeah.
Don't know if he's going to be the world champion that he could be, but for me, it's almost like Mercedes couldn't possibly go and get their scraps just for the name, just for the look of the name in the country.
Yeah. Sainz is very much an equal to George.
Oh, I wouldn't even give him that, but yeah.
But yes. I could see them. Like if George's maximum result on a weekend is going to be third, it's also Sainz's.
Yep.
Like it would never be a case where if George can only finish fourth or third, that Sainz wins. Yep. I don't think he could ever one up him. There'd be the odd occasion where he could. I mean, he beat Charles once for the win. But I think they've either got to go down the path of an untried rookie and have George develop his leadership.
Surely not.
Or it's got to go the other way, and it's got to be the incredible experience that Lewis has to then go and find that experience elsewhere again.
Go on, say his name.
Which it could be Fernando. Which, again, it came out straight after a couple of hours that
Fernando was in
contact as well.
That's very Fernando, isn't it?
Yep. Can I throw you the left field one that I think is a probability?
I want to back up. Fernando's a great choice as well.
Fernando's a fantastic choice.
Like, the age for me isn't a question until we see it becoming a question.
Yep.
Like, you can't just say, "Oh, you're 44, you can't keep driving."
Yep.
Well, you can if you're still showing the performances.
All right. What about this? Give me your what you think will happen. So this is...
No, I want to hear what your next one is.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, we'll lead up to it. So give me your... I really think this is going to happen, and I would put money on it to happen. Give me sort of left field Smokey.
I think this is what they should do.
Yeah. Or your left, like a Smokey that you think they should do this, it makes sense. And then give me your fantasy. Like, if I was in charge, what I'm doing.
Oh. Jeez, I haven't actually gone through this yet. For me, I would sign Ricciardo. I know I'm biased, but I'd sign Ricciardo. He's got the experience. He's for all the reasons we mentioned before. Yep. So that's what I would do.
Yep.
What I think is going to happen.
2025.
For me, it feels like Alonso has got his mitts. He might have his mitts all over it. Now, these two teams have a bit of history, though. Yep. And so it could be a little bit dodgy.
But in the Stroll Consortium and Mercedes
if you've got connection
as well.
If you've got the ability to go and get the driver that could take on these two teams. So Red Bull's the powerhouse they are. Ferrari's went and gone and gotten your champion, your GOAT. And they've got another driver who's possibly the fastest driver on the grid if you can get it together. Yep. You've got to hit them with your best weapons. Yep. And for me, that at the moment, unless we see something different this year, Fernando Alonso is that weapon. Because he can pull things out of cars.
So that's like your Smokey.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, well,
kind of.
That's my,
but it makes sense.
I think that's my Smokey.
Okay.
And I think it's what I think they might do.
Okay, cool. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense either.
No. What's your fantasy one then? Your Toto, it's your choice that you'd just love to see happen. You think yes.
Love to see happen. Oh, I just want to see Ricciardo in a great team. So that's my fantasy.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what I think they should do. That's my fantasy. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, mixed
up. I like that.
Go on.
So I think for me, what is going to happen is Mick. They went and got Mick. They pulled him. They saved him. They saved him from the scrap heap. They put their arms around him. They gave him the role. They gave him the time and invested in him. And then they're going to go and put him in and give him that supportive environment because there is something.
This is what you think's going to happen, or this is your Smokey?
This is what I think is going to happen.
Oh my goodness!
This is what I think that if they're saying they're going to be bold, then to put your arm around someone and bring them in, and the story of the return of Dad, and then you're in that seat. I think it's also got that element of it too. All right.
Okay.
My Smokey, which I think is also, is the return of Valtteri.
Yeah, you did mention this.
Is the return of Valtteri. Is that the time at stake is up. He's on a couple of years loan or contract. Toto is his manager. It's then come back. Come back to me. Come and be part of the team. Let's work it out. He owes him a win.
I think that's your fantasy.
He owes him a win for Russia anyway. So I think it's a Smokey, and it makes sense.
I think that's your fantasy as well.
It's a little bit of the fantasy. What's my fantasy one?
It's Alonso.
My fantasy is actually Dan.
Oh, okay.
It really is. It just,
Okay. Yep. For me, Mick is so unproven that it would be a disastrous move.
I don't think it would be disastrous.
Oh, I honestly think it would be a disastrous move. Oh. Like, unless you have seen something in some data that he's been giving you, I think it's an absolute disaster waiting to happen.
I think I'm not sure where this...
When you're trying to hit Red Bull and you're trying to hit Ferrari and you're moving into 2026 with new regulations, you've got to be so sure about these drivers. Because they're the real unknowns. They're the things that you should be really sure about. And Mick, I think, would be great to find out more about him. But to put him into a top-line team and add that pressure to it, I think would be, And then Bottas, once again, Bottas just seems to be on this beautiful swan song of him enjoying gravel racing and
he's just
drinking gin and drinking coffee. And
it's gardener's leave without leaving the sport.
And beautiful. It's a beautiful thing seeing him so happy.
Just paddling away.
But for me, it just, I'm not sure that they would, but I don't mind him as like a little backup.
Keep him.
I don't mind him as a little backup.
You let him go because he didn't do what you wanted to do. Toto's his manager. You kept him in the sport. Bring him back.
Yeah. I don't mind as a backup, but I think it would be not a great move, and I think Mick would be a terrible move. But you never know. Mick might find a drive within all this.
Well, that's exactly
interesting.
Right.
Really interesting. So it'll be a watch this space. Other drivers that have been sort of mentioned is Esteban Ocon. If they employ Esteban Ocon, I'd be astonished. He's been a name that's been mentioned a few times. But I
don't know how or why.
The F2 driver.
Yeah, look, I feel like that... Is it Antonelli? We need to find this out.
Yeah.
This is how alien that this driver is to us. I feel like someone has just Googled who is the Mercedes Reserve F2 driver, and then suddenly...
So this young gun...
Tell me about Antonelli. Tell me what he's done, who he is, where he's from.
Kimi Antonelli, okay, is his name. 17-year-old. Yep. He's Italian.
17?
Yes.
Oh, God. No.
Tell me more about 17-year-olds not being right for Formula One, Tristan. whole motto around.
I knew where you were going.
Max forever.
Yep.
Look how wrong I got that.
Yeah.
But so the thing that's holding him together is he does a bunch of young driver testy things.
Yep.
And every time that he's
Tests?
well, no, so it's not just F1. So
what Max did doing show runs.
Yeah, but there's some runs that are done with groups of drivers for different promotions, and then there's some like testing runs that they do to sort of find out more about young drivers. Yeah. Some of these runs, when it's wet, he's a couple of seconds faster than everyone else around him.
Yeah.
And the thing that they love about him is that he is like astonishingly quick when it gets wet. And that's sometimes one of the things that they really look for in a driver.
Yeah.
He hasn't bothered with F3. He's continued on with progressing himself in other ways.
F2, yeah.
And so he's joined F2 this season.
All right, let me throw some stats at you, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I've got some stats here. All right, so 2022. I'm going to go... So out of the last 5 seasons, he's had 4 titles. However, 2022, he competed in the FIA Motorsport Games Formula 4 Cup, where the season was a duration of 1 race, with 1 win, 1 pole, 1 fastest lap, and 1 podium.
Pretty comprehensive.
Pretty stock standard.
But comprehensive in that one race.
Yep. Formula Regional Middle East Championship with the Mumbai Falcons. Finished first, 15 races and 3 wins. So, that's, obviously you don't need to do a lot to win there. 7 podiums, which is all right. Formula Regional European Championship with Prema, so he has strong Prema connections.
Yep.
20 races, 5 wins, first in the title. And then Italian GT Sprint Cup Championship and GT3 Pro with AKM Motorsport. 2 races, 1 win. Finished 8th. It doesn't scream the resume of someone who can then take the seat of a 7-time world champion.
He's 17.
I'm not sure what else to say.
Well, for example, you can't compete you can't compete in F3 until you're 16. Right. So it's not. So what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
He probably can't have done too much more.
Does he even have a super license?
Well, not at the
moment. Does he qualify for a super license?
But you get one when you do F2, and if you win F2, and if you do some of the young driver tests and all those sorts of things, that's when you go and get it. So, but what I'm saying is, he probably can't have achieved too much more because he's so young. So a lot of the F2 drivers are 22, 23, 24 when they compete in F2.
Yep.
And so they've gone on and won a bunch of other things because they've had all the time to do it.
Yep.
But he's been winning these titles at the age of 14, age of 15, age of 16, and now he's into F2. So, look, I'm with you. I don't know anything about him. They're quite happy with him. And the thing that has sparked everyone's imagination is he becomes alive in the wet. And so that's something that I believe is something that they've been watching. So,
how many wet races did we have this year?
No, he wasn't involved. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we had quite a few, actually.
Yeah.
Last year we had quite a few, didn't we?
How many?
Oh, I don't know, 3 or 4. No, so they're not going off the fact that he will only be fast in the wet, Tristan.
Yes, I know.
The judges of good drivers are when they're good in the wet.
Most people are pretty alright in the wet.
Disagree.
I'm not even...
It used to be your go-to. Alonso in the wet is unbelievable. Jenson Button in the wet, we know he's good in the wet.
Yeah.
So they're the drivers that we look for. But no, so that's... Look, I'm not arguing for him.
I know.
I'm telling you why...
I feel like you are.
No, I'm trying to explain to you why...
I know.
He's such high rated.
Yep.
He's so young,
and
they think that he's going to be a gun. So for me, like Mercedes, in the past, they made Valtteri spend time with they got Valtteri from Williams.
Yep.
Time in the car before they got him. The giveaway for me was they left Russell in the Williams for a long time, didn't they?
Yeah.
They made him earn his stripes before they went and got him.
Yeah.
And they knew they had a decent driver in Russell. Like, they probably left Russell in that Williams for 2 years, maybe longer than what maybe other teams would have.
Yeah.
So they've got a history of leaving drivers there for a while.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Antonelli F2 this year, I doubt, depending on how he goes, I doubt they make him do it again for 2 years, but they might.
Yep.
And then
if he wins it, it'll be the worst thing he can do because it's not going to be There's not going to be seats available.
Well, there'll be a Williams seat available if they make that happen. But yeah. And so then they might go and do that. But we have seen someone like Piastri being left out of the sport for a year and then brought in. So, yeah, look, for me, I think that's their future plan. How do they fill the years before then is the big call. So it's an interesting one. It's a really interesting one. And it's like we said, it's just going to open up. And then that's not accounting for them going and stealing a drive from somewhere, which opens up a drive somewhere else.
Yeah.
Incredible. Christian Horner. Let's move on to Christian Horner.
Yeah.
So we had the livery drops, and in amongst all of that, Red Bull come out and say that Christian Horner is being investigated for allegations, is the statement. Investigated for allegations. Couldn't be any less...
Any more vague.
It couldn't be any more vague, but it couldn't contain any less information if they tried.
Yep.
A few of the things that we do know about this situation is that it's not Red Bull F1 doing the investigating, it's Red Bull headquarters. So overall Red Bull headquarters is doing the investigating. So it's been taken out of Haas a little bit. We know that there's a barrister doing the investigating, an external barrister doing the investigating about the claims, the allegations. And we know that Christian Horner has come out and denied them quite vigorously, as Christian Horner tends to do. He doesn't generally take a light step anywhere, does he? He generally charges ahead anywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Thoughts on it all?
It's a tough one, this one, because it's the world of sort of trial by media, isn't it? Not even media, like trial by social media at the moment, because we've had a very vague statement put out. We've had, I mean, good on Red Bull for actually saying that we've received this and we're just letting you know that this is happening.
What do you think their point was in making that known?
I think it's probably to show to things like stakeholders and fans that
we don't put up.
We don't tolerate it, which they haven't in past. Even with their F2 drivers and things.
There's
like
a certain person at the organisation called Helmut Marko, which we'll get to in a minute.
But it sort of says to them, hey, we're getting on the front foot. We've had a complaint. We're addressing it. Thank you. Because I think the worst look would be to say that we've had a complaint where we're shying away from it. Or we're going to keep it closed.
Or we haven't done anything.
Or we're doing nothing about it. Yeah. So, the behaviour...
Could they have investigated without announcing it?
Geez. Think about things like the brand. What would that look like for the brand? What would it look like for the sport? What would it look like for the team? What would it look like for Horner as well? Like, there's so many complex layers in that. You probably couldn't.
I guess the risk is being such a large organisation, it's going to find its way out somehow.
I think 20, 30 years ago, you probably could.
Well, they wouldn't have investigated, would they?
No, but I think now, in the current sort of social climate and things like that, you probably have to. You have to just be transparent with what you're doing. But again, the vagueness of the statement has probably thrown it into chaos, and I think social media is what's sort of
leading the charge
at the moment. That it's just, we've got a caption, we've read about it on a couple of news sources, and I'm going to jump on and just start going for it. So I don't know, social media is a dangerous place, isn't it?
It is. And when you give such vague statements, I think sometimes it leaves it open to go and do that a little bit. Sometimes I feel like the rumours are worse sometimes than the thing that's actually being investigated.
Think about what we just went through with Toto Wolff and Susie Wolff and their alleged conflict of interest with the sport, where it was reported by a newspaper. It was very vague in itself.
Yep.
It was then trialled by social media, where they were absolutely slammed. And then,
FIA jumped on board that.
Yeah, but
they actually started to have a look into it, and then
absolutely, all of a sudden, 24 hours later, it was like nothing's happened.
Yeah, I know. We're sorry for doing this. Yeah,
but I think that's it. If you're going to put a statement out, you've got to be a little bit more descriptive and specific in what it is that's going on, if you are prepared to be that transparent as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I think I can understand that they're going through an investigation and they don't want to damn anyone's name, but I think everyone's reading things online.
Yeah.
And there's no limit to what can be put online.
Yeah.
And so...
That's right, there isn't. Look, the statement issued by Red Bull said, after being made aware of certain recent allegations, the company launched an independent investigation. This process, which is already underway, is being carried out by an external specialist barrister. And the company takes these matters extremely seriously. But again, when you just say things like these matters, just it opens up to anything, isn't it? So, yeah, a little bit too vague, but...
Yep. And like we said, Christian Horner's come out and denied all allegations, and very typical Christian Horner, he won't be taking a step back.
Yep.
Apparently, and then we hear stories that he's been told that he should step down.
So it's tapped on the shoulder to...
But once again...
A friendly resignation. And then I've also read today that there are alleged to be contract clauses in place with Horner and Newey, and that if one goes, the other goes as well.
Yep.
Who knows? But I think it's certainly a watch this space.
There's a few that feel like Newey is on the way out anyway. Now, he did re-sign recently, but the Newey Hamilton Ferrari combo is almost too good to ignore, is it not? Thoughts of that?
No.
Isn't it a wonderful thing? Like, if we wanted to see Lewis in a Ferrari, if you could have had some beautiful, there's more than icing, a second layer to a cake, it would be Newey in a Ferrari, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, a few people have been wondering if that could be something that could happen.
Yep.
The other element to it is that there's speculation that Horner and Helmut Marko have had a bit of a falling out.
Yeah.
And that this has been brought on by that falling out. So we know Helmut Marko was a really close friend of Dietrich Mateschitz, who was the Red Bull owner who passed away last year. And so there was expectation that Helmut Marko would probably leave the team in the next few years anyway. And then when that happened, there was expectation that might happen a little bit sooner.
Yep.
Christian Horner sort of mentioned as much. And Helmut Marko came out and in really strong fashion and said, I have absolutely no intention of doing that, and he's not going to tell me when I'm going to leave anyway. And so this feels like there is a bit of a prickly relationship going on here, which is in an interesting situation, really. And I think some people are speculating from some areas is that maybe Helmut Marko is pushing this a little bit further, and he's demanded, with his links to headquarters, Red Bull headquarters, that this is investigated. It would make a little bit of sense. It would make a little bit of sense that they've come out and made this strong statement, if anything, just to damn Horner's name a little bit. And so, the conspiracy theory, sure, absolutely. Sort of tin hat territory, sure, absolutely. But my goodness, we don't mind it here at Beyond the Racing Line. And so, it's just another element, and it's another element to watch this season. They got a launch next week. How on earth do they launch a car with their team principal under this cloud? It's an interesting situation that they're going to have to be. It's a watch, isn't it? What's a watch? Does he turn up?
Would he have been there anyway?
At a launch?
I can't remember last
absolutely.
time.
Yeah, the team principal's absolutely at the launches. And so it's an interesting one. It's a watch, isn't it? And I think this story is going to develop really quickly due to this issue, due to the fact that, well, they've got to get into it. There's testing in a few weeks' time. There's car launches happening. They're supposed to be full steam ahead on this season. And so, it's an interesting one. The other element is that this team has been unflappable for the best part of 4 or 5 years now.
Yep.
Even though they weren't winning championships 5 years ago, they were back on track and looking really strong. Unflappable. They've barely put a foot wrong in the last 3 years. And then all of a sudden, this could be a major turning point for this team. I mean, they've certainly got all the right things in place. They've got a great car. They've got the great driver.
Yep.
They've got great people around the team. But Horner was the man that sort of held everything together, and he built this team. I mean, he's been through 2 really great championship runs so far. Seb, now Max. It would be a huge loss, even if you had to step down for a part of this season. I think it would be a huge loss, and I'm not sure. I mean, we saw what happened to Mercedes when Toto left for a couple of weeks. Amongst their winning time, that's when they had a bad session. And so, I don't think we put enough importance on the team principals running the teams on a race weekend too. So it'll be an interesting one. And for me, I mean, a little bit of chaos amongst Red Bull is probably what the championship needs at the moment.
Yeah.
Not that I want to put any of this on Horner, particularly if he's innocent. Not that I want to put any of this on whatever the allegation is and write it off as not being anything worthwhile. It's just an element of the championship that's going to be considered now. A little bit of rockiness in this stable team. Anything else to add?
No.
Next one.
Covered it.
Next one. Australia.
Hey, we are back. We are back as the rightful placeholder of the season opener.
Now, I haven't been across this at all. Has there been any communication as to what has caused Australia to come back?
It's just we're back. We're back.
Interesting. Okay.
And sometimes you just need great things to happen. And that's our place.
You happy with it?
Stoked. There are things that just belong in the Formula One world. And Australia as the season opener is what belongs.
I'm really interested. So what Formula One have attempted to do this year, and they've done quite a good job of it, is align regions with events.
Oh, well, we floated that idea for a while, haven't we?
Yeah, well, we were talking about it, but they've managed to align some regions. So they come to Saudi Arabia, which is not necessarily in our region, but they're Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. Okay, round 1 and 2. Then they come to Australia, Japan, China, all in the region. Okay, time between them, but still all in the sort of region. Then they're going off to the United States, which is a bit out there. I'm not sure that one really fits in. I guess it's sort of halfway to... Anyway. Then Italy, Monaco, they're into there. So and then later on in the year, they then go and do the Americas and a few other bits like that. And so they're trying their hardest to sort of align some elements. And so Australia now coming to the first race of the season. I'm interested to see what that does to the calendar.
Okay.
Or I wouldn't be surprised also if they bring it out as like this pre-season race, a little bit like a race which is a little bit standoutish. I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a 2-week break after it. So it's interesting. I'm not as caught up on being first race of the season as others. It doesn't bother me quite as much.
Bothers me.
I hate going to Bahrain for our first race.
See, that bothers me.
Because that is just a boring, lackluster event. I mean, it's great that Formula One's back.
It's like...
But going to Bahrain is just boring.
It's like being on Christmas and then going back to work. So you say you have Christmas holiday and then you go back to work on a Friday. That's how I would describe starting the season at Bahrain. What's the point?
Not a bad analogy.
What's the point starting your working week on a Friday?
So,
you turn up and you think I'm out of this,
I mean, I'd almost be happier to start at Saudi Arabia because it's a little bit more of a, I don't know, seems like a newish, but still hasn't got that party atmosphere. So I love that Australia's got the party atmosphere. The fans come along, they get on board. It is happy times, and so I like that element. And I like that we're starting with a bit of a glamour race, I guess, in terms of picturesque, and it's got all those elements. So
I'm going to give you a dud that's just come to mind and a little bit of news because this year, as Australian fans and race goers, which we're hoping to be at again this year, which we will be. Last year we had the big uproar where fans were making their way onto the track while cars were still doing warm down. We even saw above pit lane where we were situated that we actually had VIPs that were wandering out into the pit lane while cars were coming in hot at the end of it when Alex did his final stop. So for those fans that ran out on the track, full dud to every single person that made their way out there because now the access to the main straight is now banned.
Is it?
It's fully, no fan will be permitted in front of the podium at all whatsoever this year.
Oh.
It is fully banned.
I haven't caught up with this
So
news.
all of those things like you see at Monza and anywhere else where they open it up and fans go out and you stand in front of the podium this year, no way. Not happening. So if you ran onto the track last year and you are a fan of the podcast, A, stop listening, and B, you are our dud because you've wrecked it. They've wrecked it.
Back off.
They've wrecked it for everyone.
Yeah, no,
they've wrecked it.
For me...
You can't do it.
No, for me, the organisation messed that one up.
You shouldn't be running out on track when cars are on. And now, all of those people that do the right thing, that love to stand in front of the podium and watch their heroes at the end of the race, can't do that.
I'm with you. But yeah, I think equal blame on that one. Staying on track news, Madrid is coming in from 2026, I think it was. Half street, half circuit. Park sort of circuit thing.
Circuit.
Thoughts on the track? It's got Sochi vibes.
Yeah.
Hasn't it?
Can't comment because I haven't seen too much of it. So
it's got Sochi vibes in terms of are they trying to force a Formula One circuit where it doesn't belong? See, for me, like Barcelona has annoyed me for a long time, and
I know it has.
They've finally made some moves to change it to make it more competitive.
But Barcelona could be returning as well.
Well, agreed.
Yep.
But it's interesting, like, yeah, I'd be very surprised if we saw Barcelona and Madrid get long-term contracts.
Yep.
We've talked about the rotation policy, and I think that has merit, but I'm not sure they're building a brand new track to have a rotation policy going on.
I think what I need in my life is less street circuits.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we can hold out hope. We can hold out hope that it's a good one. But, yeah,
I haven't even seen an online sim of it yet, actually, so I really can't comment. I just saw the aerial view.
The aerial view gives you hope.
Really, yeah.
The online sim gives you, it's a little bit Azerbaijan sort of.
No.
Which you love Azerbaijan.
I do love Baku,
you just forget.
I know, but then when you said it gives you Sochi vibes.
Oh, it just feels to me like they're trying to place a circuit where it probably shouldn't be. But let's hope. Hey, Adelaide was a half street, half park circuit.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway.
All right, Andretti. God, there's some news in there.
Have we talked Andretti? I think we talked Andretti last week.
We have not talked
Andretti. Okay, sorry, my bad.
No, they got shoved after we recorded.
Did it? Did it? No, it happens, doesn't it? Hit me with Andretti news.
Well, rightio. So Andretti, the FIA went and put out an invitation to teams to come and stake their claim for an 11th license for a team.
And OEMs.
And what?
OEMs, original engine.
Oh yes, sorry,
manufacturers.
Yep. So they put out an expression of interest, and they had 3 teams show some really strong interest. They had lots of teams, but 3 teams really showed some strong interest. They deemed to be Andretti was the only one worthwhile pursuing and was going to be fit for Formula One. While this was happening, FOM, Formula One Management, decided Liberty Media weren't really on board with this whole thing. And there's this back alley element where the FIA and FOM do not get along at all at the moment. They're clashing on all sorts of things. The thought is that the president of the FIA is trying to wrestle back more control of Formula One, whereas Formula One's trying to say, look, we buy these rights off you, buzz off, we want to run it the way we want to run it.
Yep.
We want to make money the way we want to make money. And so there's this back and forth. And so whether they were on board or not, it felt like the whole way along they were never going to be keen on Andretti because of the FIA's idea. FOM, for me, have never really said that we're keen for people to join. But in saying that, they never really went out and said, look, we're not really that interested, so don't bother.
Yeah.
And so I feel really... So Andretti went through, they went and put their submission in, and then FOM went out and dropped a huge statement with 5 or 6 reasons as to why Andretti shouldn't join or can't join Formula One in 2025. Andretti since come out and said, look, we're not working towards 2025, we're working towards 2026, because that was one of the major things that Formula One decided they couldn't do, is bring a car out for 2025 and then change regulations and bring a car out for the next year after that. It would be really uncompetitive.
Yep.
They said that Andretti wasn't going to bring enough to the sport, and only Formula One was going to enhance Andretti name rather than Andretti enhance the Formula One name.
Yep.
They said that there wasn't necessarily going to be enough compensation for teams at this stage with the current agreement.
Yep.
And so there was a range of different reasons as to why they seem to think that Andretti wasn't fit for a spot on the grid.
Yep.
Feels like there's going to be a legal battle coming up.
Yep.
I'm not sure FIA are going to take this one sitting down. I'm not sure Andretti's going to take this one sitting down.
No, I don't think so either. The general sort of gist of what was released, I don't think they released what they really should have said in terms of the way that it was denied. So, from what I gather, and most fans would have gathered just from the statements that come out, is that Andretti were given a set of real loose guidelines and boxes to tick, and they said, please tick all these boxes, and then we'll have a look at it. And so they said, no worries. And they went along and they ticked all the boxes, and then we got to the end of it where all the boxes were ticked, and they were alleged to be denied because hypothetically they might not be competitive. No proof or anything that they weren't competitive. So that was sort of what came out in the wash of it. But
and part of the box ticking part was they said, look, you really need a big name team to join you.
Yep.
So they went and got General Motors.
Yep.
One of the biggest names out there.
Absolutely.
Continue on.
Yeah, so this is it. This is where the real sort of denial of application happens, and we didn't get too much information about this when it came out. So as part of the entry into 2025, right, so they're partnering with Cadillac to be the engine supplier for the Andretti team. So that's the partnership that the application has been put in for. If Andretti were to enter in 2025, what they need to do is they need to go and they need to get an engine, because right now they don't have an engine from Cadillac. So that means they're gonna need to go and knock on Ferrari's door, or Honda Red Bull powertrains, or Mercedes or Renault's door, and say, can we have an engine?
Yep.
Now, as a team that is currently working with that, so if you look at the work, most of them are works other than the 2 or 3 that are customer engines as well, you are not going to go and lend your engine that is developed and worked to an up-and-coming team, because the problem with that is the intellectual property and the IP, because over the next course of, 2028 is when the engines change. So if you're taking that, then what you're doing is, say Ferrari apply...
26, I think.
26?
Yep.
Yeah, can't remember which one, sorry.
Yep.
So then Ferrari go and give Andretti the engine. So then Andretti have a Ferrari power unit in-house for X amount of years, with the knowledge that Cadillac is then taking that intellectual property year on year to then develop and put into their own. So that's where the problem lies. It's all around the engine and the IP of the engine. And what we don't want to do is teams are not going to be prepared to do that. And the FIA and FOM don't want to go and do that either. But not a lot of that information came out to fans.
None of that. No, so I take your point, but none of that's the reasons.
I think it is.
No, none of that is the reasons. They spelt out 5 or 6 reasons within their statement, and that wasn't mentioned once. One of the things what they said was, if you can bring your own engine in 2028, we're interested in talking to you.
Which they will. They will have the Cadillac engine in 2028.
And so that was one of the things that they said, but it was never mentioned as that being any of the reasons. And so that can't be anything that they're putting it off on. So their statement read like it was preparing for a legal battle, because they knew that these things weren't going to be the case.
Well, that's where what was released to general media is that we've put these parameters in place, you've met it, and now just hypothetically, we don't think you're
it turns out we don't want to. For me, if I was Andretti, I'd be suing the pants off all sorts of people, because it feels like they've gone and said, right, go and spend all this money to come and apply to us. You can pass all the regulations and we're still going to be pushing you out. So that'd be my first step. Now, who on earth are you going to go and get? Do you go and sue FIA, who are your biggest ally in this moment? You probably can't yet, but the fact that FOM didn't ever come out and say, look, we're not interested in this, it felt like right from the get-go it was going to be a no from them, and they had to come up with reasons as to why they're going to say no. And the critical person in you just says, look, it's all about greed. The teams weren't willing to share the kitty, and so they had to come up with ways of saying, look, we're not interested in this. We're not sharing what we've got at the moment. We've built Formula One into this grand, massive sport. It's at its absolute peak. We're not letting you in to come and take from this kitty, particularly while the buy-in clause is so low. It's $200 million at the moment. Even if they offered to pay more, the teams weren't interested in that being their offset. And so they came up with a range of reasons as to why. The fact that they said that we don't believe that you could be, even though you're a strong organisation, we don't believe you could be competitive, was a little bit rude. It was a little bit like turn your nose up at them. The fact that they went and said that we're going to be offering more to the Andretti name than what Andretti is going to be offering to Formula One. Well, that is the case for every team. Every team are in Formula One to lift their name. So it was such a nonsense statement to make when every team is in Formula One to lift their name. That's the whole purpose of being there. Mercedes wouldn't be there unless their name was being lifted for being Formula One. Red Bull wouldn't be there unless their name was lifted for being in Formula One. The whole purpose is to be there, is to have Formula One lift your name. But Andretti, the name Andretti was going to lift that anyway. I find it's just so bizarre, and I understand where some teams are coming from, but I find it really short-sighted. And I find it that they latched onto a bunch of reasons that were sort of half argued, but none of them If there was one smack bang reason as to this is why you cannot join, then that would almost be like, well, all right, fair enough. But they've put in about 5 or 6 half-hearted answers as to why you can't, and that's going to surmount to one reason as to a big no-no. And so, yeah, for me, it's just it's an interesting one. And it's I don't think we've seen the end of it, but they're also got in this really funny space where if they are interested in the 2028, they don't really want to burn the bridge now by paying everybody off. If they go through a legal challenge, don't get in, and then go and apply in 2028, is it going to be favourable towards them? Probably not, and so it's sort of like that burnt bridge, I guess. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I think the FIA Formula One stoush is only just warming up.
I think so too.
There's been blow after blow from either side. I think this one's about to blow up, and there's already been threats, not coming from anyone official, but already threats of, well, we can always break away from FIA. All you're really supposed to be doing is monitoring the fairness and the safety of the sport.
Yep.
We're doing everything else. We're writing up the contracts with the teams. We've got the contracts with the venues, with the promoters. We can take this championship away and go and do our own thing. The FIA doesn't really have much control over that, so it'll be an interesting situation. I don't think the FIA sort of done themselves too many favours with going down this process without the support of Formula One. I think, for me, the problem was they went out and made these offers without the support of Formula One, and I feel like they need to get together and get on the same page pretty quickly. I'm not sure the president of the FIA is the right person to do that now. I think that ship sailed for them. Any other thoughts?
No, you summed it up pretty well.
Yeah. But yeah, the engine one is an interesting one, but not once was it mentioned in there.
Yep.
Not once was it mentioned, and so yeah, let's get on to something a little bit more fun.
Okay.
Liveries, or is there any other news we want to talk about? There's a lot.
There's so much. I'm tired already.
Let's go liveries.
All right, let's go liveries.
All right.
It's fun, it's exciting.
Remind us, so McLaren did this drop of a livery, didn't try and pretend that it was their car that they're going to be driving this year, did a drop of a livery out of nowhere, early in January? Yep. I can't remember now. And it was fantastic for that moment. I loved it. I thought it was a great move from them. We talked about this. I didn't like the livery personally. I'm sick of black on cars. And I just felt like black with stripes of orange just isn't something that's exciting. I think I gave it a 3. You were a bit more upbeat about it. What were you?
For which one?
McLaren.
Oh, 10. Loved it.
Yeah, it wasn't a 10 originally, but yeah. 9, I think. Yeah, I think you were a 9. So you were down with the McLaren. Then we saw Haas come in.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Haas?
The Haas actually looks all right.
I quite like it.
It's just poor timing that Lewis decided to go to Ferrari on the same day. So it sucks to be Haas. But yeah, I think...
Sucks to be Haas. That is a very true statement.
I think the Haas works really well. I like the colour I like the colour palette. I love just the general layout. I think the white and the black and the red is really well balanced.
Is the Haas in like a chrome of some sort?
I'm not quite sure.
Looks it, doesn't it? But you can't really tell.
I'm not quite sure. But obviously a lot of carbon fibre for weight saving. Now, as you're saying, this is something that we're going to have to be prepared for, because out of the 4...
No, I'm not prepared.
You have to be prepared.
I'm not.
Because for the 4 that we've got so far, outside of Red Bull, the 4 that you've got so far, you can almost pencil in a black Mercedes. So there's 5. The Red Bull is going to be half black. So there's 6. Who else have we still got to go?
Ferrari.
Ferrari will not be black,
so
you can tick that off.
They've been black, more black than usual.
No, red, so tick that off.
No, it won't be red around the side pods.
It'll be mostly red.
You'll see, like, the floor will be black, and it's still... but what I'm saying
it'll be the least
they
amount
still don't
black.
Go that full red. It's a criminal act.
It'll be the least amount of black.
The Haas might be like a pearl white.
I feel like I just want to say it's just white. Anyway, I like the Haas. Am I going to give it a score? Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Jeez, you're generous.
Yeah, I like it.
I didn't like last year's Haas. I like this year's Haas, so I'm going to give it a 6.5. I would have given last year's a 4. So there's improvements made. Made.
Yep.
I'm sick to death of black. Okay. So sick of black.
Get used to it.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
I know.
Then we saw State come in.
Oh,
tell me what's going on.
Oh my God, I woke up this morning and I nearly had an epileptic fit when I opened my Instagram.
Isn't it wonderful?
I knew you were going to say that too. I thought, it is just, oh my God. Tell me why you love it.
All right, I'm more than happy to tell you.
Right.
The number one reason why it gets a tick from me is that it's different to everybody else. But that's not why I like it.
All right.
But that gets a tick. Like, the one thing going for a pink car is the fact that it's different from everybody else.
Yep.
And so you get that tick. And why the hell aren't more brands down with that? Like, honestly, be different. The McLaren gets a tick because it's orange.
Yep.
I just think it looks crap because they've put so much black in it.
Yep.
But you get that tick because it's nice and different. It's green. We don't have a green like that on the grid. And now I know what you're going to say. We don't have a green like that on the grid because it doesn't look very good. People like it. People do like it. Watsy likes it. I've spoken to Watsy about it. He likes it.
That upsets me because generally he's got my back on things like this.
He did say, look, I've got a weak spot for black and green because his old logo was even a bit of black and green.
That's fair.
But yeah, no. But for me, honestly, there is an element of iconic about it. There's an element of iconic because it is so different. I know it's hard to see here how good it's going to be and how bad it's going to be. Is it a beautiful car? No. And that's okay, but it looks cool. Honestly, it looks cool. It's not beautiful. See, beautiful I'd put it as the Toro Rosso when it was that lovely blue.
Yep.
The Alfa Romeo when it was that lovely cherry red and white and a bit of black.
Yep.
Some of the Ferraris are just beautiful. Some of the Williams are just beautiful cars.
Yep.
Whereas this isn't beautiful, but I think there's an element of cool. There's an element of iconic about it because it's quite unusual.
Yep.
And I think it's going to look really cool at night time. The other reason I love it is because they've gone from Alfa Romeo.
Yep.
They're moving into Audi. They can't be either of those things.
Yep.
Can they?
No, you can be Sauber though.
You can't because Sauber's gone and sold themselves.
I know. It still has Sauber written on the nose as well, by the way.
Has it?
Yeah.
Good. And so they've gone and sold themselves. But so you can't be either of those things. So you've got to be different to that.
Yep.
You've gone and got yourself a sponsor.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that sponsor has gone and got the absolute value for money out of the whole grid by being so different.
Yep.
Like, this is their 2 years of being different. Not being Alfa Romeo, not being Audi. This is their 2 years of being different. And they've nailed it. Honestly, they've nailed the brief of being different. Representing value to their sponsor. Being a little bit iconic because you're not like anyone else. I think, for me, I don't hate the look of it. So yeah, it gets an 8 for me. Like, I'm talking it up, and it gets an 8 for me.
Nice.
What are you giving it? What do you hate about it?
Everything.
No. Everything's not an answer.
Here's what I hate about it.
It's a real junior answer.
Here's what I hate about it. When you say iconic liveries, if you want to talk about a green iconic livery, it's the Aston Martin. Because that is
another beautiful car.
Beautiful green.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
This green is the most aggressive and putrid tone of green that I have ever seen in my life. It is atrocious. The green on the wing is hideous. Every panel on the front of that wing is covered in green. It is absolutely horrendous.
I like it.
I cannot stand it. Like, it is absolutely hideous.
It's not quite fluoro, is it?
Well, it's not fluoro. It's actually, you'd be surprised at how fluoro it isn't. And this is where I'm a little bit disappointed in Steak and Sauber, because over the last 24 hours when they've posted social media, the initial images have clearly got a filter on it. And it is, as I said, I nearly had an epileptic fit when I opened my phone this morning, and I was like, what the hell is that?
There's lots of cartoons going around.
It was disgusting. Yeah. It was disgusting. So that came out. And then what they've done is they've then dulled it down with a filter on a couple of videos, but there is actually a real live shot of a launch video that was taken that's been doing the rounds on Instagram as well, and it is not very bright at all. So it's quite a dull green. Anyway, what I'm looking at here, the green is disgusting. It's the wrong tone of green. It's aggressive. It's putrid. I hate everything about it. I hate everything about the green on the front. The nose is too green. The wing is all green.
It's all the same green.
It's hideous. There's too much green. That fancy little zigzag down the back. When you turn on a video game, and for those that play Formula 1, when you go and create My Team and you get 4 stock standard liveries that are just there, and in a mad rush,
with you on this bit.
You have to pick the best one.
I'm with you on this.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
It's just, and then you've got 4 paint color options, which is black, white, red, or you get some sort of stupid fluorescent if you want to be different. That's what they did. That's what the design department did. They turned on their PlayStation and went, that'll do, but let's go green because it's a sponsor. So the actual layout and design is disgusting in every way, shape and form. Plus, that tone of green and black, I know we've got some white sponsors, but it's not enough to break it up. They don't go together.
Oh, I think it looks great.
No, it needs something else in there. It is absolutely the most... Hands down, I'm not even joking when I say it. It is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen in my life on a Formula One grid. In every way, shape and form.
You have no idea how much joy this brings me to see you so upset.
I can't stand it. I hope the only time I see it is when it's getting carried back on the back of a truck back to pit lane. Because, my God, it is just... It's so bad. It is so bad. I am giving it a 1. I'm not even... it's a generous 1. That is the worst looking thing I've ever seen. The worst. I can't even continue to go on about it. You've got a light on your power tool above you. That's what it looks like.
Oh, I hope so. That's lovely.
It's just... Man, oh man. It is so bad. It is so bad. I will give credit because the wheel covers look alright. Oh
man, I've just closed the photo. Not looking... They do look cool, don't they?
It's just, yeah. It's just not. It's just. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Steak. I'm sorry to Sauber. I'm sorry to fans. It's just. It's so wrong in so many ways.
Adam Hughes gives it 6 out of 10. No. It's new. It's better than last year.
It's not.
It stands out.
It's not better than last year.
No, I'm not.
I know. I'm
you've
just
given me your opinion so far.
I'm going to continue with it.
Now this is Adam's opinion.
Adam's opinion is wrong, and the number font is wrong too. How can you go something futuristic and then just pick stock standard Microsoft Word font?
Sam, friend of the show, 8 out of 10. I like how much a departure it is from last year. Having bright colours that isn't another red, navy or white is great. And it somehow looks energised. I'm with him on that. It does look energised.
People forgetting that Aston Martin is green.
It's not, but it's different green. Aston Martin is a beautiful car.
I know, this is not.
But it doesn't necessarily need to go into that category of beautiful. It's just cool. Points off for some simple geometric lines. You're down with that. Criticised a few teams last year for it. How many times the Stake logo appears on their own car.
5.
And the lack... You pay for it, you get it. Yeah. And the lack of another colour other than carbon and green.
Thank you.
So, Sam, but it's still 8 out of 10.
But that doesn't pay... Yeah, no.
All right, here we go. Dr. Auto Art. How are you feeling about this one? Dr. Auto Art.
I'll say Chris's helmet designs are very out there, so I feel like he's going to like it.
And you love them.
I do like Chris's work.
He really loves it. I'm a sucker for fluoros, and we know that.
I know, but it's just...
Nice to see a different colour on the grid, and he's got the strong man arm to go with it.
It is the second green car. We have a green car.
No, we don't have that green car, though.
No, we don't have that green. We have a green.
Yeah, and that... Yeah, I do you understand what I mean? Like, there's beautiful, and then there's cool and out there. Yeah. I think it goes with the beautiful.
But yellow...
sorry, it doesn't go with the beautiful.
Yellow would be cool and out there and different. We don't have a yellow car.
Yeah, but we don't have that green.
No,
we don't have that green.
But we've got green. And that's just a horrid green.
Mm. Oh. I miss our old yellow Renaults, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yellow
we
and
used to love
black
them, didn't
works. Fluoro green and black does not work.
Yeah. I'll just quickly go to the Haas comments. 3 out of 10, still better than McLaren.
No, see, that's wrong.
Carbon skin cars look the worst in daylight, and I agree with that. Tim says, great, another black car. How about we make all the cars bare carbon and just print the rear wing different
Tim,
colours.
You've got your wish, because that's what we're about to get.
Yeah, and I think he's been a bit... Yeah. Next one. The Williams. Thoughts on the Williams?
The FW46. Beautiful.
What a terrible name.
Beautiful.
Tell me more.
It is such a nice blend of darks and lights in the blue. They've gone with their sort of diamond pattern. Their sponsorships are well placed. The black works well with it too. The addition of red and the general layout of the livery all works really nicely and works well with the carbon too.
It's a nice looking car.
He's a lovely looking car. He's lovely.
Yeah, I'll give it lovely.
It is lovely.
But you know what? Why the hell are they keeping the name Williams?
Because it's just... What are you calling it?
But honestly, this is not a Williams car, is it?
Yes, it is. This is the new. This is
No,
the
no,
new
no,
era
no,
of
no.
Williams.
But why keep the name Williams and paint your car so that it looks like any other car on the grid?
It's actually classy.
It could. I'm really interested to see what. I know. I'm telling you, I think it's a nice car.
Yep.
I think the design looks really great.
Fantastic.
And if it was by itself,
Yep.
tick, beautiful car.
Fantastic. Love it.
But my knock on it is, it doesn't stand for anything. Like, Williams is white with colours with it.
Yep.
Isn't it? Like, Williams,
Yep.
the best Williams was probably the camel logos with the white, the blue, and the yellow.
Yeah. But I guess you can't have a lot of the carbon fibre sort of element of weight saving. But you can see there's hints to the white. The sponsors are white. The wheel covers are white.
Please.
You've got the white pinstripes in there. There's little hints.
The white
of it in there
pinstripes
too.
are on the tyres.
No, on the actual front nose there, between the red and the white.
Please.
But
from what I'm getting at, then you think like Williams. You got the Rothman Williams, beautiful Williams. The Martini Williams, beautiful Williams. Like,
white and blue.
That's Williams. I don't understand why they're bothering keeping the Williams name.
Yep.
And that's the only thing they're keeping.
But it's it's next gen Williams.
But when everyone else looks like that, like that, for me, it just doesn't stand out. I think it's a beautiful car, and like I said, if it was parked out the front of anywhere by itself, I'm looking at it and going, that is unreal. It just doesn't stand out. It doesn't stand for anything. It doesn't stand for anything.
But then I would argue that with the stake, it doesn't stand for anything.
But it stands out. Like it stands for everything in stake.
See, that stands out in a classic.
No, it doesn't.
Classy
no, it doesn't.
sort of way.
That could be from the top. That could be Mercedes.
No.
Sorry, it could. From the top,
not at all.
That could be a Mercedes. I'm expecting that we're probably going to see, what are they called? Visa Cash App, RB, Racing, whatever it is. I imagine theirs is going to look something a bit like that, isn't it? That could look a little bit like an Alpine, depending on how much Alpine go in that direction.
Not at all.
For me, well, if they're going to be running more black, there's nothing iconic about that car there. And so I'm with you. It's a nice looking car.
Yep.
But it's just, I find it bizarre that these cars aren't standing out for something when all these sponsors are paying so much money.
Yep. That
is not ever going to be remembered. Ever. Whereas this state car is going to be remembered for good or bad reasons. For good or bad reasons. I mean, you've come from a graphics background. That's going to catch eyes. The Ferrari, we know it's a Ferrari because it's red. The McLaren, it's got orange. Renault, when they were yellow, we knew they were yellow. The Aston Martin's that beautiful green. Beautiful green. For me, I don't know why they're bothering being Williams when they look like that. Just call themselves Dorrington Racing.
Hey?
That's what the owners are. I'm honestly torn by it because I think it's a nice looking car, but I just can't see the point in going down that. 7 out of 10, Adam Hughes. It's new. It's better than last year's. It's classy.
I like it.
I'd agree with those things.
Perfect.
Watsy, I like the Komatsu are on board.
Yep.
Way better than JCB. What's Komatsu?
I'm going to find out right now.
Thank you.
I think it's like a tech company.
Okay. Sam, 7 out of 10.
Manufacturing, sorry.
Hey?
Manufacturing company.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, maybe Watsy has got equipment through them. Sam, 7 out of 10. It's sleek, and that's about it. Doesn't look like a bombastic billboard. Tristan will be disappointed about that. Just nice shades of royal blue and navy. Wish they went with the bronze and carbon concept. I don't know if I've seen that one. Someone drafted, the Duracell. Okay, I don't think Duracell paid for the whole car.
No.
Would it look cool, though, a Duracell's coloured car, I guess, or would be iconic. Dr. Auto Art, really like it, very classy. Would have preferred a lighter blue accents like last year instead of the white lines, Duracell still on point. So, yeah, people are happy with it, but no one's, oh, wow, look at this. And honestly, that's just my point. It's just, I feel like if you're going to keep the name Williams, let's show a little bit more Williams. You know.
Good.
Anything else? What are you expecting? What are you expecting from Red Bull? Oh, sorry, not Red Bull.
Exact same thing.
What
that every year with
yes, Red Bull will be the same. God, imagine if they do something different. We'll fall off our chairs.
Won't.
Ferrari will be red.
Yeah.
The question is which shade of red and how many bits are black.
Exactly the same shit. Shit.
Did you not think they're ready to go for new?
Nah, this is the best looking Ferrari.
Oh,
ever.
I tend to agree.
Ever.
I think they've nailed it, but sometimes they change it on you just to be something different.
I didn't like that 1000th race, so it didn't work for me.
No, I'm with you. What are you expecting to see from Aston Martin? Just beautiful car.
Green,
a beautiful green.
Beautiful green, yep. Mercedes will be black.
Mercedes will be black. Anything new with Mercedes this year?
No.
You're not seeing anything in social media? Because you love watching the social medias for the little things
nothing.
that are popping up.
Nah, I think we'll see the monster added to... Oh, we will. We'll see the monster added to the McLaren, but I think it's going to be more along the lines of helmets and stuff like that. Yep. Yeah, monster are part of McLaren now too. But I think it'll be on the helmets is where I expect it to be.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to see any fluoro green on the car.
You could do with some fluoro green on there. Visa Cash App Racing Bulls.
Well, that's the unknown one, isn't it?
From all social media, we're seeing sort of not quite baby blue, but a lighter blue.
It'd be light blue and green,
white and green
because of the cash. See that? I know I'm pointing at something on the podcast.
Don't do that.
That's what it's going to look like.
Which is like a buffalo feed, grass feed.
Actually,
yeah, it could be iconic.
And I'm expecting a lot of paint on that.
Well, because they are a lighter.
No, a lot. That's going to be the car that gives us the least amount of carbon.
Why?
Because of the heavy sponsorship that comes affiliated with that.
Okay. Who else are we missing?
Alpine.
Yep. Yeah, they're due a change.
They won't though.
But they won't.
No.
Alpine, the poor old Alpine. Still don't know.
Alpine cars sort of follow the same line of the Red Bull.
Still don't really know what they stand for.
So that's it. So that's your grid.
Is it? Did we nail everyone?
I think so.
We're out of form. I wouldn't be surprised if we miss one, and I can't even find the bloody app to check that we're nailing them all. Oh, man.
That's it. That's all you got left.
No, Mercedes, Alpine, Haas, Red Bull, McLaren, Aston Martin. Yep. Oh, look, Kick Sauber even got the fluoro on the app now.
No.
How wonderful.
What a downer.
Who's next?
I
think Alpine's actually not today. It's it's not coming out today. It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. Alpine tomorrow. Then we've got the Mercs.
Yep.
Then it's Ferrari.
Oh, hang on. I've got my little list here.
And that's the general rundown. Yeah. So we got Alpine on the 7th, RB on the 8th, 12th for Aston, 13th of Feb for Ferrari, 14th for Mercedes, 14th for the car reveal for McLaren, so that's nice, livery, and then 15th for the Red Bull too. And that's it.
Okay. Alpine are doing... They got an enduro or something like that going on? No, someone's doing an enduro at the same time. I can't remember who it is now. That's great podcasting, Roger. Yeah, all right, well, plenty of news. Tell you what, let's just quieten down, everyone. Everyone let's just take a breath. The season hasn't started, and you've been in hyperdrive. It's like Formula 1 just turned around and spewed up on itself.
Yep.
And then, everyone had to go and pick up the pieces, but exciting, really exciting.
Really exciting.
Highlight of it all.
So far?
Yep. No. Is it Kick?
No, it's not. Just that things are happening. I don't have a highlight or a standout.
Lewis is a highlight for me.
Lewis
it's a disappointment for me that we've got to wait a full year. Like, we've got to do the whole swan song thing.
Can't be any more disappointing than the Sauber livery.
Yeah, well.
I feel like I'm going to mention that for the most of this year.
Oh.
Most of it.
It brings me
weekly.
So much joy.
I know. It's... no.
Yep.
What a depressing way to end the episode.
Even my daughter was like, ooh. That's different, and she likes everything that's bright.
No, I feel like H will like it too.
Yeah, no, well, I don't know that Sophia necessarily liked it because she loves the pink. Actually, what we'll get with Alpine is a pink car to start with, I think. We'll do that pink thing for a few races, and then they'll go to blue.
Yep.
But, so anyway, it's different. It's different. I like it because it's different.
I'll tell you one thing for people to do but as we finish off, because I want to finish on a high note.
Go on.
A little something to do. Go
on.
I want you
homework.
to get online. It's not F1 related, but it's something I come across the other day. I want you to listen to the new combustion engines that are part of the WEC. Just listen to it. Find it. If you're
I'm confused.
If you're listening, that's all I want you to do.
No, you've confused me. If you've confused me, you've confused our listeners.
So I want you to go onto Google. I want you to type in WEC combustion engines. And I want you to find a video on YouTube of this year's cars launching out of pit lane with a combustion engine.
I thought you were telling me that there was like some sort of website that played them all to you. No.
Yeah, you'll find it. It is one of the best sounding things.
Tell me why you're telling me this. Other than it sounds good.
Just it sounds good.
Have they moved away from something to go to combustion engines? Why do you keep...
Yeah, they have, and it just sounds amazing.
Okay.
And that's it, nothing more than that. It's just brilliant. It's just brilliant.
When's their season start?
Not sure.
Okay. I have some interest in them, I just never ever watch it, but yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's hope that everyone can calm down. I feel like the Horner thing's going to move pretty quickly.
I wouldn't be surprised if in an hour's time we would have about 6 hours worth of content for another episode.
I expect... I'm going to get all the mozzies before we leave here. I also expect that the driver market may actually quieten down for a little bit.
I actually hope not.
No, well, I sort of hope not too, but I feel like there's going to be like a little bit of breathing space before the next major move. So probably the Mercedes, well, obviously the Mercedes seat's a major move, isn't it? But I mean, it's so far away. If I was Mercedes, I would be probably looking at your options, but people are going to panic into signing people, I know. But I'd be looking at options and holding off just a little bit. I feel like they're the next move. I'm not sure anyone else is going to lock in somebody that they're after. And so I think they can wait for a little while longer. Carlos Sainz will be the other one, and then what that does to either of those drivers. So it's it'll be interesting times ahead. But yeah, I think the Horner one will be the one that moves the most, and obviously liveries will be coming in. Are we going to talk liveries next week?
Yes, we are. I feel like we will. We'll have to. It'll be a full wrap-up by the time we get back.
Let me see. The last one's on a Wednesday. We might have to do a late week.
We'll work it out. We'll work it out.
Anyway, until then, enjoy everything. Formula 1 spewed up on itself this week, and hey, it's what makes it fun for everybody. Until next time, goodbye.